Let's see if Joe Trahan's willing to quit his job and cover a different team if he doesn't like the hire, because that's the sort of energy we're looking for. I was just fighting that you're allowed to cheer for whoever you want, no matter where you live. You can do whatever you want.
You can leave this team.
Whatever makes you happy. If you wanted to, you can do whatever you want, Joe. Is that wrong?
But they won't.
No. I got colleges to pay for, gentlemen. We will be covering this team with the same veracity we always have. We will be a lot more critical now, though, because Jerry just keeps lobbing up chances for us to slam it home. I mean, come on, man. Really? Come on. Sometimes you just got to laugh, man.
The most polished broadcaster in the history of the world doesn't even have words. That's where we are with Jerry.
I do. I just want to make sure everyone understands the absolute frustration that you feel sometimes to try and go about your job professionally and analytically to try and explain things to our viewers. I treat it as trying to be a servant to my viewers. I want to give you the best service possible, but trying to explain this, Jerry's going to do what Jerry wants to do. And it's simple and it's oftentimes ridiculous, but that's what it is. I mean, you guys, and I want to make this point off the top because I think this is a point that could get lost very easily in all of this rigmarole, all of the foolishness that we will talk about in the next few days. And Clarence, I trust you and I suspect that you are right, but I've never hoped that you were more wrong than this. But unfortunately, I suspect you are right. Let's remember that the Cowboys are the most valuable sports franchise in the world. And listen, there's a salary cap, and when they cry poor on the salary cap, I get it. But I also think you can push money into the future, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I am going to go down this rabbit hole. There is no salary cap when it comes to coaches. And Jerry Jones refuses to pay a premium for the person who would be the caretaker of the most important thing that he has in terms of football, and that's his players. He refuses to do so. Days like this, or days like the coming days when we suspect Brian Schottenheimer will be named the coach, this was all put into motion years and years ago when Jerry Jones said, and he believes it, obviously, that he thinks any of 500 coaches can do that job with the Cowboys. That's why Jimmy Johnson left. And that's what has put into motion, you guys, this 30 years of wandering in the desert after Barry Switzer had the remnants of what was a Jimmy Johnson team, and they were able to win that third championship. This is what it's come to. And Jerry even mentioned that 500 number again, you guys, after the last game, talking about the interest in this. But because Jerry Jones really believes that fact, he believes it, and he couldn't be more wrong. But since he believes it, we have to put up with decisions like this. You guys, and y'all have chronicled it well. I mean, no one else showed any interest in Brian Schottenheimer. So do we really think the Cowboys are the smartest people in the room? I'm sorry, 30 years of a track record says absolutely not. So, yeah, man, it's hard, man. It's hard to even make sense of it.
Joe, the ink hasn't been put to paper yet, but we all speculate that will be the the head coach. How does Jerry spin this to the fan base? Like, what? You've been around him long enough. You've heard, and you've been in many press conferences, and you heard many Jerry stories on and off the record, in front of the camera, behind the camera. How does he spin this to a very despondent fan base and just sell that premium hopium that Jerry's been so eloquently selling for the last 30 plus years?
Yeah, you're right. That's hopium. Yeah, that's the drug of choice. I do think, and I think that Jerry we've seen this before. I think Jerry's gonna, and please listen to my semantics closely here. He's gonna hide behind the quarterback. He's gonna say that I spent a record amount of money on the quarterback, and this move is the best move for the quarterback. He's gonna say that this can keep, most of the system in place that Dak Prescott has thrived in. And I think that's where he's gonna hide. And I'm sorry, it won't fly with me. It just won't. Dak's a professional. He's a veteran. If you have to bring in someone else, and oh, by the way, if that someone else happened to be Kellen Moore, he's familiar with that system too. So I think that's where he's going to go. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. And Jeff, you mentioned something about, the comfortable choice. And that's It's the crazy part of all this, because Jerry likes to laud the fact that he's the only GM who's also the owner. So there's some decisions that he can make with the money that other GMs can't. But the real problem is he's comfortable. He's comfortable. And if this is the decision, and if Brian Schottenheimer ends up being the head coach, it just shows that he's too comfortable. There's no sense of urgency, and there's no thought that you are mandated to go out and get the best person for the job.
Joe, you're a seasoned like me. You grew up in Houston, but you got some New Orleans, Louisiana roots. Were you a Saints fan growing up?
No, I was a Houston Oilers fan. I did not travel with the Oilers when they became the Titans because, as you recall, Chill, BS Bud Adams, as I like to call him, tried to hold the city for hostage to try and get a new stadium built. So I did not travel with the team. And so when they left, I went to my second favorite team, which is the Saints, because that's where my roots are from. My mom and dad's families are all from Louisiana. So the Saints became my number one team when the Oilers left. I didn't follow the Titans.
So you have
which was very hard because I wanted to follow Aaron McNair. It was very hard. I still cheered for him, but not the team.
And my point is, you have a history with your family, have a history with bad Saints teams. Okay. And right now there's a discourse about Cowboy fans jumping ship because the team is bad. Did your family ever leave the Saints? And tell me about how they felt when they won. Did they ever, all right, I'm done with the Saints. We can't win. We got bags on our head. We're going to find a new team.
Now, you know how that goes, right? And we see it now more than ever on social media. People are going to say it, but do they really mean it? No.
Yeah.
They don't. You keep watching,
it's your
and
team.
you keep hoping. And you keep hoping. And for Saints fans especially, that hope was when they won that championship, there was nothing like what that city was like on that Monday. Nothing in the history of that city. I don't care about Mardi Gras. I don't care about Jazz Fest. I don't care about all the fun that city has had. There was nothing like that Monday afterward. I was here already, but I'm on the phone with friends, and guys, it was such a cool deal. I almost made a trip just to soak it up. I didn't, but just to soak it up. It was that much. So, and listen, that's the hammer that Jerry Jones can wield. He knows, as much as these people are going to make these social media posts and they're going to vent on Instagram and X or whatever, he knows they're going to be back. And here's the other problem with there not being change. He also knows, what if 5 to 7% slough off and they stop? It's supply and demand to him. There's still going to be more than enough people to fill the building, more than enough people to continue watching to make them the most watched team in the NFL. And all those things serve to make him more money. So there's really, unfortunately, there's really no mandate for change. And that's why we continue to see decisions like this.
Joe, I think I might know the answer to this, but in light of that and kind of the, frankly, depression that Cowboys fans are experiencing right now online, which, we'll talk about the validity of that later, but does this surprise you at all that Jerry didn't make kind of a crazy move or maybe like say, you know what, let's actually bring in Dion for an interview, or let's bring in this guy for an interview and shock the system a little bit, or no?
So I am surprised that he did not cast a wider net. If we are done now, I am shocked, right? For nothing more than appearances. I am shocked at that because I do think that having to sit and stew and watch his two NFC East mates go at it for the NFC Championship, you would think that it would at least create a willingness to make sure that you see everything that you can in terms of what's out there. Whether or not you make that decision or not matters not, but you would at least go on that fact-finding mission. And especially, bringing in a guy like, and I'm not saying that Cliff Kingsbury would have been a great coach, but he is having great success. Why don't you just bring him in just to get a feel for what he's doing now and how he has evolved as a coach? Why don't that costs nothing? It costs nothing, and why you wouldn't do that boggles my mind. Aaron Glenn played for your team. All you got to do is listen to Aaron talk. This guy can motivate men in that locker room. And listen, I don't know what Brian Schottenheimer is going to be able to do. None of us know what he's going to be able to do. But I do know this. Those players pay attention, and they know that he is not the best candidate available or other teams would have been interested in him. And if they have that in the back of their mind, as soon as this thing starts to go the wrong way, it will continue to do so. Bank on it.
Well, and like the names that you're getting, Ben Johnson too, right? The names that everybody wanted.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The fact that the Cowboys didn't call them or try to do anything, I guess my guess or my thought was those guys would have told you no, and you knew that they were in demand and they would cost money. So you just didn't even waste your time because you're being cheap, and Jerry's ego would be too fragile to be told no, which if those people walked in, he knows they're telling him no based on how things go around here. And so it's all gross, and it's just hard to be right here, Joe. It's hard to be right here. That's all. That's all I got.
It's hard to sit in this moment. You're right, because there's a realization that winning is not the ultimate goal. It's winning on the organization's terms, and those are two different things. The brand is paramount in that building. And of course they want to win, but they want to win and also protect the brand. And there's some ways where you just can't always do that. Sometimes you have to sit back and say, listen, we've got our ass kicked for 3 decades. We're going to do something a little different because we want to make the brand better. It's an easy sell, but it also involves humility. And that's something that we don't see a lot at that building. And listen, pride has been the downfall of many a great man. And listen, I'm not saying it about Jerry Jones, but I do know that that's history, right? And it could apply in this case as well.
Joe Trahan, WFAA, thank you so much. We love you. Have a great day.
Y'all do a great job, gentlemen. Appreciate y'all. Take care.
We all silly like the mayor.